Hi, the date is the 29th of May, 2026, and today I learned a really good lesson about myself and about what to do when something goes wrong, especially around how you feel and specifically around the idea of intellectualization and bringing it inward as a coping mechanism instead of putting it outward. And you can see this is reflected in a lot of my videos because in a way to avoid asking out a girl, I'll make a video dissecting the ins and outs of how I should go about it. And it's the same how I avoid feeling my emotions is I will intellectualize it. I'll try to work through my emotions in my head, and I will try to search up videos on how to deal with those emotions and what everything means, and that makes it a lot easier for me to talk about them from kind of a third person perspective than to actually feel them. And I never realized I was doing this. I thought it was more of a skill. Like maybe I feel them a little bit less, but I'm just a little bit different. But the truth is it was a coping mechanism to not feel my emotions. But how this intellectualization was negatively affecting my life was so much bigger than anything I could have imagined. Because what would happen is I would intellectualize my feelings, but I would still be angry. So if I'm intellectualizing my anger, like, why am I angry? What is this? And then I take that and I'm like, okay, this is a problem to solve. I need to get to the root of this and solve it. It just snowballs into a bunch of different problems where it's like, it's an unsolvable issue because the issue, something upset me because someone did something. And then now I'm angry. And instead of expressing that anger, I intellectualize it as an issue to solve. And there's no way to solve feeling your emotions. And so it puts me in this endless loop of, you know, I kept thinking, I've got a problem. Like I'm aware enough to know I have a problem, but I just don't know how to solve it. And then I kept running through my head with that voice in my head, that self-critical voice that was kind of using this as fuel to start like a really bad fire where it's like, this is the reason you are alone. This is the reason you don't have as many friends. This is because you have these flaws. And then I was like, okay, this is getting way too far. I need to actually learn what this issue is. And so I started searching up about internalizing your emotions and intellectualizing other stuff. And I started learning about it, which ironically is the problem because instead of just feeling the emotion, I intellectualized it. But this time it helped because it told me that intellectualization was not good. And I can still process and feel my emotions and learn from them as well. But I think it really touches on the topic of what it is to be human. Like we can simulate realities in our mind, we can create whole fictional stories, and we can do so much in our head, and we're like limitless. We can picture a perfect version of ourselves, and in theory, it's actionable. But we have our human limits. We have the dopamine and the serotonin and the oxytocin and all of those chemicals in our brain influencing what we do every day. We have our emotions that we either need to feel healthily or they can cause problems in the future. There's certain limits we have that we just have to accept and work through. And I thought working through those meant solving them like problems to be solved, when it was more, you just have to feel them, what it is to be human. And it actually like amazed me how much this affected and how much this connected to a bunch of different things in my life. Like how I've been saying, I want to ask out a girl, but I've been intellectualizing it, and I've only even talked to one girl that I got turned down by, and that's just one girl. And then I like, okay, this is a problem. I need to intellectualize this. I need to solve the problem. I need to fix myself. And then it's like, it's this whole new issue that I've created by just not wanting to feel that feeling of nervousness or putting myself out there. So now it's not easy to say this because I will probably have to follow through, but I just need to go out there and ask someone out. And I'm not going to go out there with this specific intention to ask someone out, but I'm going to go out there to meet people, and if I think they're cool and like them, then I'll ask them out. And just not to think about it so much, just be in the present moment, to stop intellectualizing stuff and thinking like, oh, this is just who I am, this is just a trait of River. It's not. It's a coping mechanism to deal with not feeling your emotions. And it had even been developed from when I was a kid, because that voice in my head was very self-critical at the time. And to avoid it, I would make noise. I would be always making noise. And my parents said this about me, I would never stop making noise. And then I was walking this morning and I was making noise, and I realized why I was doing it. Like I was humming a song or singing something that I remembered. It's because it is the only thing that stops the self-critical voice in my head. And that's why I realized there is so much stuff going on in my head that it's too much. It's keeping me out of the present moment, out of action, out of taking the next step. It's all just coping. And that was a hard pill to swallow. And it is still a work in progress, because over time I'll have to, I don't want to say solve these issues again, because the idea of solving these issues is the problem, but learn to actually feel my emotions without it snowballing. And it's not easy because I've only learned to intellectualize, so I'll try to intellectualize the process of feeling my emotions, and I could already feel myself doing it when I kind of made this realization. But I am just needing to learn how to feel my emotions in a healthy way and communicate that to the people around me. And some good examples of intellectualization: buying self-help books when you have an issue, finding workshops, finding courses, finding YouTube videos, and it's hard to even realize you have this this issue going on when it comes to your emotions, because it's just an automatic response, and it's usually from childhood. So an interesting idea that I saw in a video was, if you watch something from a third perspective and watch what happens when, watch a movie and watch what happens when the characters get upset, or like a reality TV show or something like that, something where people are meant to act natural, and watch what happens as people get upset, and watch how they deal with their emotions. And then you can kind of understand that the emotions are kind of energy, and that energy needs to go somewhere. And pulling that energy inward and leaving it for your mental inner voice, psyche kind of thing to deal with is not the right path. But that's kind of all I had for this video. That's the end of the video. Thanks for watching.